Season 1, Episode 1. And now I know that we're on the 7th week, if I'm correct, of the CCS, but we are sponsored, or rather brought to you by them. So, yeah, my name is Hiccup, and I am joined today by Brankles and Lindor. And a little bit about me, I am a Gold 4 ADC main. I stop at Gold 4, go to my other accounts, and then I get them to Gold 4 because let's be real, when you get to Gold 4, you get that, you know, next level uh, skin that you want. So that's a little bit about me. Lindor, let's hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Lindor. I've been playing League since season 3. I'm currently Plat 4, and that is my peak rank for all of the years that I've been playing. So proud of that one. I've been casting League of Legends for a year and a half or 2 years now, and really been enjoying that, and excited to be branching out into some podcasting now. So
Yeah. All right, Brankles, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you.
Well, hi folks. I'm Brankles. I've been playing League since summer of 2012. I just really enjoy sports, esports. I'm an esports junkie. Uh, I'm a silver one support and jungler, one time plat player in TFT. Um, just really enjoy the strategy and the ins and outs of the game. I also love the emotion that you see in the game sometimes. But yeah, I just really enjoy the ins and outs of League of Legends.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. To piggyback onto what Lindor said, I am also I've played for a long time. I've been a part of the league scene for since about season 4, which is is quite a long time. I think by now. I still suck. We all still suck. It is what it is. We all take our faults. We are what we are. But yeah, let's start rolling into the CCS. We're gonna start talking about the CCS today. Our podcast is all about the CCS and all about League of Legends as a whole. We really want to bring you guys exactly what you want to hear, and yeah. So let's start off with recapping the last game of the CCS, the week 6, if I'm not mistaken, right? Week 6 of the CCS. Um,
Hmm.
which is Goldfish versus Limitless. All right,
week
let's
7, I believe,
or
but yes.
week 7. Okay, see, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. It's just what I do. Week 7 of the CCS, and that is Goldfish versus Limitless. Goldfish did lose that game 2-1. So what was big about that game? Let's hear it. Let's break that open.
I've got two things right off the bat
All
though
right,
that
let's
I
hear
would
it.
like to say about this series. One, they never allow anyone to play a Mumu support because you're gonna get destroyed by the two charges with the Q. But I really want to understand when you look at it like when you play a best of 3 series. I understand you wanted like sub players in and things like that. Why did they not go with Dirt from the start? Dirt was great on Ziggs in game two. And I watched game one and they had someone else playing Ziggs and it just didn't work out. It was just flat. But then Dirt in game two comes in and just cleans house. And I know that they eventually lose the series, but man, like Dirt, I know that when we talk about players of the week, he's I would put him personally as like my honorable mention just because he put on a performance playing as Ziggs because he was getting double kills with his ult. His timing was great. I just felt like he had a phenomenal performance for a single game match as Ziggs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's interesting to see because in game one, they actually had Okami on the Ziggs, and
Mhm.
obviously I believe he's their starting mid laner, so pretty comfortable on those mages. But like you say, Dirt coming in on the Ziggs in game two, really just overshadowing that performance altogether. You already touched on it a little bit, Brankles. It was the Amumu support for Snow Life. We got to see that one popping off for the first time. Like you say, the buffs to Amumu definitely huge for this series, and they were able to take down game one with that one. Game two, though, we had a very exciting mid jungle duo here. We had Kiana plus Talia. for Goldfish in Game 2, and they really were able to pilot those champions really well, and that was what was able to give them that Game 2 victory and really make a series of it there. So
I
definitely want to call that one out as well.
I definitely agree with you. I think that Snow Life on that on that Amumu is just like fun. I love Amumu. Okay, now I love him even more because now he can be played as a support. Because Snow Life just showed me that that's a possibility. I play him juggle all the time, and now I can play him support because Snow Life made it possible. So I absolutely love the series. I thought it was an extremely important series for both teams. It's
Yep.
unfortunate that Goldfish, ended up on the back end of that, but it's a huge series for both of them. It was a very competitive series. It was a 3 hour and like 30 minute game, or series rather,
Yep.
and it was just a lot of fun. The game one was, you know, it was a close game. But game two, I think Goldfish just showed, hey, we're here to play, we're here to win. Game three, Limitless showed, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So, and it was a good time. It was like what, 12 minutes I think it was in, and we had already like 30 kills almost, or at least 20, close to it, like 25, something like that. And it was a close match, especially in the third game. Up until that point, and then when that tilting point happened, I feel like Limitless said, "Okay, hey guys, we're snowballing our mental. We're
Yep.
so there. We're here to win." And they showed up, and it's just what happens. You know, uh, Snow Life, huge. All three games, I think a lot of really good plays. Even in the game they lost, just showed up and definitely elevated the skill of a support player. So it made me feel good. I'm an ADC main. Snow Life, hey, you could give me the plat. Um,
There you go.
I don't know if you can carry me that hard, but you know, I feel it, and that's awesome. So, uh, Fonzo, same thing. I
Yep.
feel like Fonzo in Game Three, the mid gap was huge. Um, Myth Jones also had a really good game on Zhao, and is very good.
Yeah, I
So,
think he showed up on the Xin more than he did in games 1 and 2. He was on the Jarvan in those games, and uh, as someone who has played a lot of Jarvan in the past, it's really important to use your early game power. Jarvan at level 3, level 4, level 5 is a very strong ganker. He has lots of tools for those skirmishes, and I think that Myth Jones missed out a little bit on that. Not to call him out too hard. I mean, he had a fantastic series. His scorelines were amazing, and he definitely performed in the team fights the way that he had to. So definitely a big shout out for that. But yeah, in general, Hiccup, I mean, you said it. It was an exciting matchup. Both of these teams very proactive on the map, both looking to make plays for themselves, and so it was an exciting series, and that's what we like to see out of these teams.
And actually, to go on that point about playing J4 in games 1 and 2, if I'm Mythic Jones, I'm saying to my team, hey, let me play some of these carries. I mean, he, like you said, did great on Zinzao.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily need to have him play the utility of Jarvan's, like, Cataclysm. I understand that you want that, but he showed, hey, you put me on these carries, I can do this. And this match was very important for playoff implications because, without, if they didn't win that one, they're looking at, oh, we're 3-4. We're now bottom side, and Goldfish Gaming's now 3-4. And there's a log jam of teams that are 4-3, 4-4. This was very important for, obviously for Limitless, but also what was very important is the fact that you got to, like you were saying, you got to see some of the synergy. You got to see some of this, you know, instead of it just being like, oh, hey, it's a solo queue type plays. Snow Life on the Amumu, you got to see him pull that off, and then you got to see him throughout the series have synergy with all of his teammates. And I think that's very important for if you're a team that is trying to rise in the standings, because clearly, obviously, you got collective effort at the top, and they're 15-3 in their match record. They're the top team for a reason. But if you want to have a chance to knock off the top team, you're going to have that synergy.
for sure.
yeah. I mean, every game counts now heading into playoffs.
Yep. Looking at that, looking at collective effort, since we're talking about them, how about we talk about this week's matchup? It's huge. It's huge. We can talk about this week's matchup. Um, but first, actually, sorry. Let's talk about last week's matchup for Collective. It was a little difficult for them,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna say it. Um, I know that the casters from Tuesday. I know Cursive and Elsa kind of gave them gave predictive gaming Odin PGO the like downside, the like, oh hey, they're not gonna win it, but hey, look at what they did. They showed up. They showed up
Yep.
to play. They didn't show up just to win. They showed up to show that the casters, they showed up to show the league that they're a competitor. They're not fakers. Um they're not oh, I forgot what they called it, but they are there to play. They're there to win, and they showed up. They won. They got a huge upset. I watched that stream, or at least part of that stream, and I could hear the excitement from
Yeah.
their team. They were so excited to win that game, and that puts them in playoff contention, which is just huge. It's
And not only that, Hiccup, but
awesome.
it shows that collective effort are human, right? I mean, these
Yep.
guys, they were 7-0 up to this point. I believe they'd only lost one game
One.
in those matches, so they were looking nigh on unkillable and unbeatable. And so, Predictive Gaming Omen coming up with a recipe here to take down the league gods at this point. And I think what they've shown us is that you got to shut down that mid lane. You got to shut down Philly Buerto, because if he gets an assassin, if he gets anyone who can snowball a game and he gets a lead, you better believe this guy. He's going to take home the W. So we saw it in game 1 and game 3 from PGO. They were able to shut down this guy. They had counter matchups planned for this series, and they worked out incredibly well.
I felt like this series was like that perfect trap game situation that you see in all sports, where, oh hey, we've already secured our playoff spot, we're not too worried about it, and then you get caught flat-footed. I mean, you can't just sit there and look at PGO and be like, oh, they're a team that's sitting at the time 3-3. We've got this in the bag. You can't overlook teams, especially if they're hungry for a playoff spot, because there's a big difference between first and second seed and the rest of the field. It's
Oh
a
yeah.
major difference in terms of mindset. If I'm PGO, definitely I'm feeling, man, we took down these guys. We're going to do so great.
Yeah.
If I'm collective effort, I'm going to view this as a teaching moment. You know, some of these guys, they haven't really experienced a loss during the season.
Yeah.
Outside of one match. Or yeah, actually, yeah, 15-3, they've only experienced one loss.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be a teaching moment for them. I do expect them to still continue to, play really well throughout the playoffs when we get there. But man, PGO, you got to be riding high. And
Oh yeah.
speaking of riding high, I mean, didn't one of their players call out the casters? Did they get like really excited about it?
Hupzone, calling it out, literally saying, "Get your shirts here, ladies and gentlemen, because this is where you get the real deal." And I love it. And honestly, I love it. I love the banter. I love the fact that they're getting engaged. And you know what? I I I, I love PGO now. I think that that's a huge thing, and that's something that I'm going to be looking into this next game to see, and hopefully see them step up their level, because you know what, you could assume, okay, and I'm just stating this, you could assume that collective effort, because they've already clinched first seed, is just testing. They
Yeah.
could just be testing. They could just be throwing it out there. They might not have played 100%. They might not have played anything that is super gutsy, because why show the competition your best when you could show them what you could play?
It's true. I mean, it definitely, the coming weeks can be that sort of testing weeks, like you say. They can try new comps. They can not reveal too much of maybe their best synergies and their best compositions, but they definitely can try out new things because they've got that top spot locked in. So you could look at it from that angle. But I think if you're PGO, you're not looking at it from that angle. You're going, no, no, no. We stomped these guys. We took them down. Our team play was better. Our drafts were better. And hey, everyone else, if you haven't watched that, all these other teams, if you haven't watched that series, go watch it, because that's going to tell you exactly how you take down collective. And now there's a recipe for how to beat these teams. So But yeah, looking at it from the other side, like Brankel said, hopefully this is a bit of a wake-up call for Collective. It's better for them to kind of suffer their first loss here instead of going into playoffs thinking that they've got it in the bag and then realizing, oh crap, these guys came to play. So definitely a learning experience from them, and hopefully they'll be able to move forward and continue to exert the dominance that they've shown so far.
Yeah, that's a huge upset. It's huge. It's definitely the game that PGO needed. If they didn't get that, then they would be sitting at the bottom of the standings. They'd be sitting in a contention where they're tied with Goldfish and Lemon, and you don't want to be there because honestly, this is the game to win. If you win that game, you are basically getting to the point where you're like, okay, I am at the top of the standings because we just beat them. We just beat Collective. So we can realistically think of ourselves as being atop of the standings because Collective has beat everybody else until then. So if you put yourself up there, then you can give yourself that extra boost to defeat the teams in these next games to get to that next level and to get to that next seat where you need to be. And honestly, you know what? They could be second seed. By the end of this week, they could be tied up with that lost chapter, and you never know. You just never know. We've seen CCS has been all over the place. There's a bunch of ties right now. There's a lot of 4-3 teams, 4-4 teams, 3-4 teams. I mean, it's just all over the place. You never know what's going to be or what's going to happen. So, segueing in, let's talk about the Week 7 Player of the Week. Who do you guys think out of the two games we watched? Because we only got to see Puffzone's stream, and we got to see the game that was casted on Thursday between Goldfish and Limitless. So who do you guys think, based on those two games, is the player of the week for the CCS?
I have to give it to Snow Life because, all right, let's look at his stat line here, all right? Over the 3 games in the series that he had, which, by the way, was a huge series for the team, taking down one of the teams, I mean, like we have already said, that has been in contention for some of the final playoff spots. Every win counts, and especially against those people that are stacking up right beside you in the standings. So Snow Life, I mean, he had a 5.3 KDA across 3 games as a support player. He had a 70% kill participation. He showed 3 different champions, including the support Amumu. He had a Zerath game, and he had let me double check here really quick. He had a Seraphine game, which he also played incredibly well on. And I mean, really just a standout performance for this week. So I have to give it to Snow Life.
Love it. Bragles, what do we got?
All right. It's Hubzone, right? Is that the top?
Hubzone. I'm not 100% sure. I have to ask him, but we're gonna go with Hubzone for today.
All right. I'll give you 3 reasons why Hubzone is my player of the week. First off, decides to play top lane Shen, goes off for 2-1 and 23 in the game 1.
Yeah.
Clearly shows man's on a different level. He's popping up in all fights. He's fighting everyone off and helping his team. Also, 1 death as a tank is phenomenal to me. Because normally it's like, oh, hey, I like 4 or 5 deaths, but also a bunch of assists. 2-1 and 23 is phenomenal. 2, loses game 2 while playing, in the top lane. Decides, game 3, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to play the Camille. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to throw it at collective effort, and I'm going to win this match.
Mm-hmm.
But for the third reason why I think he is the player of the week is that he decided to not just put collective effort on notice, but the entire league and even the support and the casters of the league. He put everyone on blast. He didn't care. He went scorched earth in the comment section. He went scorched earth in the Discord servers. He did not care. His teammates might be like, "Hey man, calm down. We're still 4th." He's like, "I don't care. I'm putting everything on my back." This man is on it. He's probably riding on like a different wave of everyone. And who knows how the rest of the season goes? But that man right there was player of the week, in my opinion.
He was also, we got the chance to watch his stream. That's how we watched the games this week. He was saying in all 3 games, he's like, guys, I'm a super top. This is me. I'm the man. So I love it.
Yes. I definitely love the, I don't want to say ego because ego sounds, bad. But I definitely
Confident.
love the confidence, yes,
Yeah.
for this player because I just love him coming out, him fighting, him him pushing the fact that hey guys, I'm Huffzone. I'm the shit. I'm the man. It's how we're gonna win. It's just
What's
what it
the
is.
whole? It's the whole notion of, you know, if you're a dominant team and you have no interesting personalities, it's sometimes a little hard to watch it because you're like, oh, you're just good. You don't have any
Oh yeah.
personality to this. When you got someone that brings excitement to the league, brings excitement to matches like that, it just makes it fun. As you were saying, Hiccup, you're a fan of PGO now of watching their
That's right.
matches. You're gonna tune in to see what he does, whether he goes boom or bust. You're gonna tune in to see what he does.
Well, you best know if he goes bust, I'm gonna jump down that next week when we reconvene. Because right now I'm a Huffstone fan, and if I'm not by the end of this week, you'll know why.
No pressure, Upson.
No,
You gotta get rid of your Hubstone jersey.
no pressure. Yeah, no, no. I'll. You know what? I might get one, but you never know.
Are you gonna get a T-shirt with just
He's got
Hubstone
to
written on the
convince
back?
me. He's got to convince me. No, he's got some on his site. He's got to convince me. Let's see it.
Oh, there we
Sprinkle that
go.
on there. All right.
He's gonna call you. He's gonna call you out and offer you a 25% discount.
Bring it. Bring
There
it.
we
Let's
There we
go.
Now we're
Let's go.
talking.
He's got to sprinkle some of them gangplank barrels on me. Let's go. Got to get some of that money on me. No. So let's. I know that you talked about you said Huff Zone was there. Snow Life. I still think Snow Life is it. I still am going to say Snow Life. I didn't get to watch all of the stream. I know that Huff Zone definitely has the passion. I know that it's there, but Snow Life brought something to the table that I just absolutely love, and that is the Amumu support. And I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry. You know, Brankles, that champion. When I go to the jungle, it's a Mumu. And now, when I go to support, guess what? It's a Mumu. It's gonna be a Mumu. It's gonna be there. I'm sorry. All right. So, looking at the rest of this, let's recap the remaining games that are here. Kind of in short fashion, but let's look at TA Heart and Soul. So, Heart and Soul lost. I was actually a huge fan of this team. They lost to Oblivion, which is crazy to me. I actually thought that this team, after beating PGO in probably one of the best games, so the game one of I think it was like week 5. I think it was week 5. They showed up, and that game was one of the best games I have ever seen. The game one, it was just like so fun. It's why I love League of Legends between Heart and Soul and PGO. But then they come out and then they lose to Oblivion. And I'm sitting here like, okay, this is the team that I thought was going to have second seed and then lost to Oblivion. And now are tied with 3 people, PGO and Oblivion. So now I'm sitting here like, what? And I'm a little concerned. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a bit of an upset win for Oblivion. They're coming back strong. Everyone's fighting for a playoff spot, like you said. So many teams at 4 wins. So everyone's coming in. They're pouring their heart and soul into these games, pun intended. And unfortunately for TA, yeah, they're saddled with the loss this week, so they've got some work to do in the last 2 weeks before playoffs for sure.
I think the biggest thing that Heart and Soul need to figure out is not to get stuck in their ways. You look at game 2 and 3. Not to call the player out, but you stick with the Trundle support. 0-6 and 8 in that game 2. Then 0-12 and 13. I mean,
Yeah,
I've had matches where I've lost with 4 deaths, and I feel bad. I could not imagine having 12 deaths as a support.
to be fair, the whole team did die a
Oh,
lot in that game. So
I say that, but I also view it as you went back-to-back games where you picked the Trundle support.
Right.
And like I'm a huge proponent of, if you're not going to have a healer support, try to have tank. Try to have someone that can front for your ADCs to set up peels and stuff. And Oblivion was just saying, "Hey, you're giving what you're giving us. in one of those matches, I believe Mr. Turk, if I'm not mistaken, he had a phenomenal play, but I think he was playing Set in the top lane. And if you look at the match, where are the wards placed? There's so many dark spots for some of these players. You gotta have like your setups. Obviously, you're gonna have moments where you're like, oh, we just didn't have a ward in that place because we had jungle set up or Baron set up. But if I'm a squishy jungler and I'm going into these places blind and getting killed, you got to fix that. You got to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It is very disheartening to.
Gosh,
Yeah, I know it's terrible. I'm sorry. Like they just line themselves up
No
for
one
this
laughed at that.
when they.
that's horrible.
Okay, well, it's disheartening. It is. It is honestly like when you have a team that all basically gets 10 deaths on average. Like when I play solo queue and I get 10 deaths, I feel defeated and I get the fuck off the game. Like I'm sorry. Like I just do. Like sorry for the other language of speaking. But seriously, you get onto the other level. Yeah, that's nice. You
Speaking
get
of some rough losses, though. Arcanists lost so hard this week against CoinFlip Gaming that they have chosen to withdraw from the league. So
Yes.
unfortunately for them, they are going to be ending up in 10th place for the
Agreed.
season. CoinFlip Gaming with a quick 2-0 victory there. And the last game of the week was Lemon Citrus versus Lost Chapter. And I believe it was Lost Chapter not able to get a roster together in time for that game, unfortunately for them. So they were forced to forfeit the game. So Lemon Citrus grabbing a free win there. That should feel pretty good for them.
Yep.
They are one of these teams that has to really come on strong here for the last couple of weeks if they want to make a push for playoffs. They are 3-4 right now. So one game back of that group of teams with 4 wins. So a lot of work still to do for them. That free win's going to feel pretty good. It's going to get things going, but they need to come on strong the next 2 weeks as well.
I totally agree with you, and I coin flip. They have a chance. They have a chance. It's there. It exists. It's hard, but it exists. It is still there, and you know what? It's better than Arcanists have, honestly. Like that sucks, but it happens. Organizations do this, and this is what we end up having. But coin flip. Hey, hang in there. You have a chance. Win your games. Win these next 2 series. I know they're hard. I know it's going to be a difficult thing, and it's just practice. Get it, because you know what? I would love to see like a 3 or 4 way tie because that would be so fun. I would love to talk about that. So let's keep you guys in contention. Keep doing it.
Well, they're facing, and this is what's fun. Is Lemon Citrus and CoinFlip Gaming are facing each other in week 8.
Yep.
And that to me is like, you're just like, oh man, like it's all or nothing, right? If you lose this match, like if you're Lemon Citrus, you lose this match, you got to be feeling really down. If you're CoinFlip Gaming, you're like, well, we're resigned to 9th. At least we're not 10th. You got to win those. This is coming down to the wire.
Yeah, they got to win those last 2 to give themselves a chance. And looking at another important game for next week, we got Oblivion Esports versus PGO. And both these teams coming off those huge upset victories. So we're going to see which of these 2 is trending upwards more positively, right? Because both of them with huge wins this week, both of them clambering up the standings, trying to make a run for maybe that top 2 spot if they can really finish strong here. But yeah, that's going to be another huge match coming up this week.
And I totally agree with you. I think that looking at the history of this is huge. Just looking at the history of this, you looked at PGO. PGO lost to TA Heartless. Okay, they lost to Team Ambition. They lost to them. Okay, then looking at Oblivion, holy shit, they won. Okay, now we're looking at this matchup between these 2. How big this is for that playoff spot. How important this is. And if you want me to get a shirt, you gotta win.
Oh man! but that's the thing is we're gonna have HubZone versus Mr. Turk. Like, we're gonna have like these 2 top players that are gonna go at it.
But clash of the super tops.
But I would not be surprised though if Oblivion's ADC reels, if he doesn't find a way to pop off in this series. Just you get that feeling. Like I mean, he had 14 kills in game 3 as Varus, and so you got that feeling like, hey, this guy can do it. But I would not be surprised if we see a hub zone popping off, if we see reels popping off. But I just want this to be a 3-game series. I want it to be as close as can be because, like, this past week there were some matches where you're like, well, one team's up by 10,000 gold 22 minutes in. I want this to be a match where you're like, it's literally 500 gold difference heading into a Baron fight. Like, just who's got the better team fighting, and that's what I want to see.
And I totally agree with you. I like looking at the series though. What do you think? What do you both think? And I'll give mine really quick. What do you think is what do you think is the biggest thing to look at? Because I agree with you. I think that Mr. Turk versus Fuffzone or Huffzone is huge. I think it's huge, and I know that there's a top lane island. So when you think of the top lane island, you think of okay, these two are going to be head to head. It's going to be a huge head to head up there. But are they going to draft for aggression, which I think they will. I think that looking at like the set versus the Camille, like things like that, I think they will draft towards aggression. I know that they could draft towards like Shen or something utility oriented.
Yeah.
But if they want to show us who they are, if they want to show us that they are the best, I want to see aggression. I want to see blood, and I want to see fighting. I want to see it.
I think.
I honestly think that looking at this, because the game was so close between TA Heart and Soul and PGO, and because Oblivion beat TA Heart and Soul, I think that PGO might pull this out in a 2-1 victory. But that is my opinion. But I think that game 1 will be the deciding factor on who wins game 3. And I say that because game 1, the game 2, that team that loses game 1 is going to adapt, win the second game. But outside of that, the game 3, whoever wins that game is going to, which I think is going to be PGO. I think we'll be able to adapt, and I think we'll be able to like crush them on game 2, or from game 2 to game 3. But that is my opinion. But let's hear it, Lindor.
I think there's 2 things to consider. You already touched on one of them, and it's that top lane matchup. I think that Oblivion Esports could play for that strong top side, right? But if they do that, they have to ban away the weak side top laners because we've seen Huffzone have so much success. I mean, he played Shen twice in that previous series, piloting that champion incredibly well. He had multi-man taunts in these team fights. He was able to freeze his lane under tower, had a fantastic wave control, and was able to get through the early game and then provide so much for the team in those team fights. So I think if they're looking for that strong topside style, they have to ban away the Shen. They might have to ban away the Ornn and different things like that that can really survive in that early game and then still provide so much in those team fights. So draft will be super important for that strategy. And speaking of the Shen, the second thing that's important is the bot lane. Brankel's already touched on it a little bit. Reels has been playing incredibly well, but so has the PGO bot laner. I mean, weak side AD carry, he was not a weak side AD carry in their match this last week. And if he has the Shen shield, if he has some jungle pressure down there for himself as well, I think that this bot lane could be what snowballs the game as well. So if Huffzone wants to try and put on his carry pants, try to play the Camille, I think that's one thing. But I think they have the option to flex towards that different style, to flex towards the weak side, top side, play for their bot lane, and really look to make plays around weak side AD carry.
My thoughts is I think what's going to happen is I think Huffzone is going to add another shirt to his shop, and it's going to be called Top Diff. I think Huffzone is going to come firing out. Because the thing is that what's the best part about a trash talker is knowing that they're going to continue. Because if they lose the next week, it's going to be like, all right, well, that was a one-hit wonder with whatever you've done. But if he comes out and takes it to Mr. Turks and takes it to Oblivion Esports and comes out with a shirt saying Top Diff, like hands down, like then you're looking at collective effort, and you're like, are you ready for PGO?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Are you ready for playoffs? More like it.
Are you?
What are the implications of this game, guys? Like, what do you guys think? How important is this game? Because I think this is the most important game. We are looking at one of the most important games because we're looking at some other games that are definitely equally as important, but maybe a little bit more one-sided than this one is. This one is pretty even, and we could see it on both sides, honestly. And who do you guys think will win?
I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Lidor.
Yeah, sorry. If we're going straight ahead with the predictions, I got to give it to PGO. I think that the performance that they had last week against Collective Effort was huge. Watching the VOD, we actually got to listen in on their comms, and I think that the communication for that team was really, really strong. Huffzone really is a huge leader for this team, and he's been fantastic with calling out macro plays, team plays, even mid-fight, calling out target selection, calling out things they need to look for from the enemy team. And so I think that team play is what's really going to give them the advantage against Oblivion Esports. Of course, I haven't had the experience of listening in on the Oblivion comms as well. Maybe they have great team communication as well, but I really think that Predictive Gaming Omen, they're starting to come together as a five-man unit. Their mental game was incredibly strong in that series last week, and I think that both of those things combined give them the edge in this matchup. So I'm gonna say PGO 2-1 for next week.
I like it.
I'm gonna be a little bit bolder. I'm gonna say PGO 2-0. But I'm gonna say it's a close match. Both matches are gonna be close, and it's primarily is also going to be focusing on what are the junglers going to do with this top lane matchup. Because if Mr. Turks, as we've seen, he can pull off some like amazing plays, right? But if he doesn't get the same support from the jungler as much as Huffzone might get in the series, then it's all over but the crying. Because then you got a situation where you're snowballing your jungler in top lane, and Reals is already playing well, right? So Reals is PGO's ADC, right? Or is that weak side ADC?
That's weak side ADC.
It's weak side.
Yeah, as you were saying, weak side ADC played phenomenally. It gets to that point where, do I need to worry about my bot lane? If they're playing well, then you don't have to worry. You start to snowball that top lane jungle, and then they rotate down. Very much like in a pro match that we watched this past weekend, where the 4-man dive under a tower and they got 4 kills. You start snowballing that top lane. You don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. I already said it. I already said PGO is definitely gonna take it 2-1. I think it'll be a really, really close matchup. I think game 1 will go to PGO, and I think that's the important thing. I think that whoever wins game 1 definitely sets the pace. Usually, people can counter that second game, but when it comes to the third game, they bring something out that will shock Oblivion in this case. But I do think the Shen is definitely an important ban. If you don't ban that Shen, you're going to have a lot of issues bot lane. That ult's going to come down and it's going to make your life a living hell. So
if Huffzone comes out with Teemo, what do we do? Like,
we just
please no.
Huffzone just locks it in.
Alt F4 in the middle of the stream. That's honestly what we do. We alt F4 in the middle of the stream, and you know what? I don't buy a shirt because Teemo's not going to be there because it'll be just as invisible as he is when he's standing still. I hate that champion. Just saying. If it shows up, yeah. So looking at predictions for the rest of the games, we have Oblivion versus PGO. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
Let's look at Goldfish versus Collective. This is a huge game for Goldfish. But do you think that Goldfish can take this game from a loss from this last week? Do you think that they can take this game, move it forward, be collective, and stay alive in the standings? Do you think that is a thing? Because honestly, I think Collective will take it 2-1. I do think that they will test out a game. I think that the first game is going to be like, hey guys, we're going to win this. They'll take it, go full power. Game 2, I think they'll be like, all right, we don't necessarily need to win this game. Let's test something. and they'll take that game. So I think it will be a 2-1. I think the game 3 they will take the win because they do not want to show their weakness. But that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
I think it's a collective 2-0 easy clap. Simply because I don't think that Goldfish's mid laner has Okami. I don't think he has the champs required to shut down the mid lane from Collective. I mean, Filiberto has been absolutely running this league time and time again on these assassin players. He's shown that he can get a lead and then he can snowball that lead, turn it into dragons, turn it into objectives for the team. And especially coming off this loss last week for Collective, I'm looking for them to bounce back strong and show the league, hey, that was one game, that was one series. Yeah, we lost. It was a great matchup for PGO. They played fantastic, but we are still the top dogs here. We are here to win, and I don't think Goldfish can even take a game. I think it's Collective 2-0 for sure.
All right.
I also think it's Collective 2-0, but this is a perfect match if you've got horse blinders on. Because if you're just strictly watching Dirt play, you're going to be like, oh man, Dirt's doing so well. And then you realize the rest of it's a dumpster fire round. But like, I think this is a match where Gregorio is going to come out and he's just going to dominate from the jungle. And as you said, the mid lane difference in terms of just the champion pool. Now, who knows if that guy comes out with, some crazy pick, maybe, then you have like a chance. But as you said, Filiberto is just on a different level. He's been, running roughshod all over the league. I would not be surprised if it's a 2-0 sweep by Collective effort, just because, like you said, they want to send a message. They want to tell everyone, hey, we're still the top dog. That's just a blip on the radar. And I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. So we're all thinking. So is that a 2-0? That's a 2-0 clean.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 2-0. That's a 2-0. That's
all
a 20.
2-0 clean sweep. Let's. I still think 2-1. I still think Goldfish. You got a chance to take one game, and if you know what, if you take one game, you could take the second or the third. Yeah. We'll take a look. We can't predict everything perfect, but.
Folks, if you're keeping score at home, just know that Hiccup has been saying 2-1 this entire time. He has no guts to call a 2-0 like Lindor and I.
Really? Because next game I have a 2-0.
Oh! Then you tell us. You started us off.
I for sure think that after TA Heart and Soul just lost that game, I lost faith in them.
Wow.
I lost the heart. I lost it. The heart and soul's gone. It's gone. Like I for sure thought they would have it. But you know what? Lost Chapter, although they, lost this last week because they they took a seat back and they forfeit, which, it's respectable if there's a real reason. I'm not sure of the real reason, unfortunately, here today. But I think that they're going to come back swinging and be like, look, we want that second buy. We want it, and we're going to take it. And how are we going to take it? None other than beating Heart and Soul, who is in contention for it. We're going to take it, and we're going to take it from them quick. And it's going to be a 2-0. And it's going to be convincing.
Lost Chapter have held that second position for the entire season, as far as I am aware. They've played incredibly well. They've only lost up to this point before that unfortunate loss last week with them not having a roster. They've only lost to Collective. So they've beat everyone so far leading up to this. I think TA Heart and Soul are, like you say, on a bit of a downward spiral after their loss last week. That's not to say that it's not going to be a good series. I think, to take a page out of Hiccup's book, I think it's going to be a 2-1 for Lost Chapter this next week.
I think it's going to be Lost Chapter winning 2-0, but I think the win conditions that Heart and Soul need is there's two. One, don't draft Trundle. Just throw that pick away. Don't even look at it. Don't even click T's. Don't even type in T.
No more Hail of Blade Trundle.
No more Hail of Blade Trundle. But the other point that they need to do is to stop this whole notion that, hey, we could just win this through a team fight. Get some good old fashioned 1-3-1 plays. Get some moments where you try to push one lane. When you have that many deaths by that point, it's just what that tells me is that we tried to team fight, we tried to ARAM it, we tried to do all these things in terms of team fighting that didn't work out. Try to there does nothing will hurt you more than getting to a point of desperation, especially when we're this deep in the playoff run, trying to get these playoff seedings. When you look at how Heart and Soul played in that series, yeah, you can say, hey, they took a game, they won a match, they won game 2. But as Hiccup has been saying this whole time, that's a team that's like, oh, this is our adjustments going into this series. If Heart and Soul want to send a message, they need to win match 1. Because if you lose game 1, it's going to be a hard climb for them in game 2 and 3. And it's just that psyche. It's that psyche of things aren't working for us. Things aren't in our favor right now. And I think that's the biggest thing is they need to stop focusing so much on team fighting and start focusing on some of these 1-3-1 plays.
I agree, and they need this game, but I just don't think it's there. I really hope they, there was a time when I was definitely a big fan of this team, and I was thinking that they were definitely in contention to be the best team in the league. But after losing that last game, I lost heart. That's it.
You think at one point you thought that they're
Oh,
better
yeah,
than collective
for
effort?
sure. Oh yeah, I thought that they could at least put it in contention, and they could at least try to win against collective effort. Honestly, they beat PGO. PGO beat them, beat collective effort. So you can't say that they don't have a chance.
Yeah, but we're looking at PGO now. That's now turning on the jets. They're turning on the afterburners.
Yeah, well,
they're strapping rocket boosters to their backs and just flying to the moon right now. Like that's what they're doing.
That's this last week, but the week before that, they were sinking in the ocean. So
Heart and Soul right now is the guys that you see at the park that are digging through the water for coins in the fountain. Like they're lost right now at this point.
Well, it is what it is. But we got to move on to the next one. So what do you guys? I mean, obviously, Limitless versus Tsunami. That's over. Limitless wins those 2-0. Poor Tsunami. Sorry, guys. It's unfortunate that you guys are out, but it is what it is. Lemon Citrus versus Coinflip Gaming. This game is huge. Coinflip needs this. If they lose, they're out. But if they win this, how much of a team do we think we have here? Do we think we have somebody who can contend, or do we think we have somebody who's just, they just won against a lower seed and it's not really that big of a deal to them?
I think if Coinflip are able to win this game, I will answer that question after I see the games. If they come out,
go ahead.
Absolutely stomp Lemon Citrus, then maybe I'll be willing to say, all right, if this team can win their last matchup, keep in mind that their last matchup is against TA Heart and Soul, so that's going to be a tough matchup for them as well. But if they can take that one down as well, and by some miracle find a way into the playoffs, then maybe we can see if they can take on a playoff series. But right now, I don't have a lot of hope for this team. Their playoff berth is not in their hands. They need to win their last 2 games, and they need a lot of teams to suffer some losses. So it's going to be a tough road for them. As far as my predictions go for this game, I think I'm giving it to Coinflip Gaming. I think they're going to flip that coin, and it's going to come up with a dub this week, knocking Lemon Citrus down a peg and keeping their very slim playoff hopes alive. So I'll say 2-1 Coinflip Gaming this week.
And I will
answer Hiccup. Yeah, go ahead, Hiccup.
I will agree with Lindor on this one. I think it's a 2-1. I think Coinflip wants it, and I think that if they actually want it, they will make sure that they get it. They will flip that coin. They will get that win, and it's gonna be huge. But I really want you to think about this. If they win this game and they win next week against TR and Soul, which we can get past this game and we can talk about that next week. If they do that, are you a fan? Are you a fan of Coinflip? Are you a Dark Horse fan of this team who comes out from the shadows to come from literally nowhere to lose almost every team and come in and try to win this whole thing?
No, it's like those shows that, like with Yu-Gi-Oh. They're stuck in the shadow realm. They're not coming out of there right now. And to answer your question, Hiccup, that you asked, of like, oh, would we consider this a team if they win? I gotta tell you, I got Lemon Citrus winning this one. It's gonna be 2-1. And the way I've been looking at their stats with Coin Flip Gaming and seeing some of the other stuff, it's like a movie trope. You know that trope in movies where someone flips a coin and it lands right, like it doesn't flip either side; it's just in the middle.
Lands on the
Yeah,
side.
yeah. Well, Coin Flip Gaming is like a movie trope. You just know that it's not going to work out. You're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, "Man, this team's got a chance." You're thinking, "Oh, wouldn't it just be just like a movie? The lovable losers that get trashed by Lemon Citrus. It would be like a movie. It would be. And the thing is that Lemon Citrus also wants to sit there and go, we want a chance at the playoffs.
Yep.
I would not be surprised if Lemon Citrus comes out. I think it's going to be 2-1 with Lemon Citrus, but
Yeah.
just looking at match records, I mean, 5-11. You know, there's a lot wrong there.
Yeah, and I feel that. All right. So now we're gonna segue into our next topic. What do you got for us, Linder?
All right. This week we have what we are calling a Pogdor Play of the Week. So make sure you spam those Pogdor emotes in Twitch chat.
Let's
Get those
go.
going.
Let's go.
This week we have Mr. Turk on the set, coming in with a pretty spicy outplay here. He's going to find an enemy Nocturne in his jungle, and he is going to absolutely slam him into the ground. So we can roll that clip here. You guys can watch it, and then I'll break it down a little bit, and we can see how he pulled it off.
All right, let's hit it. So he's going in the bush here. Huge. Then there's the Nocturne.
I just got to ask, like, what? I know we have the voice comms for this team with Mr. Turk's team. Like, can you imagine the other side? Bummer. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I mean that play. I mean, just the balls on Mr. Turk to take that fight, right? He knows he had that calculated, man. He's like, yeah, I got this play. He gets the face breaker into the bush, showstoppers immediately, and then just as he comes out, he's able to buffer that haymaker through the Nocturne Fear, and able to finish him off with the uppercut. Just so clean. I mean, he gets away with a sliver of HP with the haymaker shield wearing off, and that's the kind of play you love to see from your top laner, right? He's got that killer instinct going, able to have the mechanics to back it up, and yeah, that's the Pogdor Play of the Week, right?
What my favorite part of this clip, though, outside of him, trashing this Nocturne, is I want like music played at the end, and then like a title card saying like "to be continued" as that gameplay's coming into focus.
And it feels so good too, because it's like, oh man, he just crushed him, and it's so close because he has like what, 5 health maybe.
Yeah.
Looking
that shield comes in clutch.
Less.
That shield comes in clutch.
Comes in clutch, and then I love the fact that Gangplank comes out right at the end, right when he's turning the corner, so there's no shadow, and then there's shadow, he's gone, and then he flashes the wall, hits him with a Q, and and then just you don't know. You just don't know. I think he lives because looking at this, I just don't see a way for Gangplank to kill him other than a reset on the shot. But
I don't know, that passive damage from Gangplank might burn him down at the end, but
because his Q, his Q now has like a buff to it, right? It counts as something with
and
it procs
like a basic
range.
Mr. Turk, if you're watching this, you need to tell us. Like, you're just leaving us hanging here. Like, you can't stop the clip 5 seconds before it starts getting kind of funny, because you just did the unthinkable, and then you just maybe died. So we don't know. But hey, you're 2-0, and you might be 2-1. But I think you're 2-0 here. I think you survived. But it's not by much, but I think it happens. So you gotta let us know.
Right,
I love it.
Before we move on, if you guys want your clips featured on the Pogdor Play of the Week or different things like that, get your clips in the CCS Highlights channel, and we'll have them featured on the show. So get them in there, and we will get you on.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, if you want your VODs shown, if you want to be talked about, you need to give us those VODs. You need to show us that you are the team to beat, and we want to see it. So send us those VODs. We will stream those VODs, and if we won't stream those VODs, we'll at least watch those VODs, and then you will be.
So what if Hubzone just like uploads a video of just like a shirt, just
Oh, bring
It's
it.
just him,
Bring it.
it's just him folding a shirt. That's it.
Let's see it. Let's see it. It better not say Timo. No. All right. Well, moving on. We'll talk about the LCS. How about 100 Thieves coming in clutch?
How about?
Michael's favorite
go.
team, which can no longer be his favorite team because he's
come-
he's like, I like the dark horse. I like the people who are behind. I like the people who are bad. Well, you know what? They're now
come
number
on.
1, so you can't.
They're
be,
the kings
they
now,
can't be
baby.
your favorite now, so you
Man.
got to move on to the next team. So
No,
is it CLG? Is that the next team? Are we talking?
no, that's like a dead meme. Like you can't even like look at it anymore. No,
you know you're at least a Dardoch fan. You know.
oh man, no. The only thing I was a fan of Dardoch was that documentary, Breaking
Yeah,
Point, just
I know.
because I watched it and I was like, oh my goodness.
Spicy
Oh.
content.
Oh, I just
but
have to bring
no.
Dardoch up because I know you like him.
I thought, like going into the playoffs as a 100 Thieves fan, I was like, kind of like on nice edge because I was like, I've seen this show before.
Yeah.
100 Thieves do well in the regular season, kind of have like a lull towards the end of the split, and then fizzle out in playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was like, oh man, I am totally prepared that they're gonna bring in like Poom as the support. They're gonna call in like Ryomo to be the mid laner just because I feel like everything's gonna end. We're gonna fall apart. But no, like it was a 3-2 loss to Team Liquid in the winners bracket or the upside, and that the whole time I was like, I'm feeling. The moment I felt at most confident was 3-1 in Cloud9. That's where I felt the most confident, and then facing Team Liquid and coming out there and making a statement. Obviously, Closer had one of the greatest series he's ever had in his young career.
The greatest, for sure.
But man, just seeing Sumday's tears on stage, talking about winning, because I mean, this guy has been in the league for a very long time. He was part of Dignitas before Dignitas fell apart and came out of the league, and then came back. But he's been around forever, and then joins 100 Thieves. He's part of so many teams that, like I said, do well in regular season, fall apart in playoffs. And just to see that he's now finally having a team that's going to be the number 1 seed representing North America in Worlds, it's so special. To me, it made things more interesting. It's no longer the top 4 of, oh man, you got Cloud9, CLG, TSM, and Team Liquid's banners up there. You're going to actually see a different team. And I think that's healthy for the league.
Oh,
the only
sure
other
have been rewarded.
Yeah. The only other banner I wish was up there was Echo Fox, but that's just
That's only
just-
for
that's
Rick
just me.
Fox. Let's be real.
Oh man, I love to be some Rick Fox.
Let's be real. What do you think, Lindor?
Yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves, like Brankel said, they're going down to the losers bracket, losing to TL, and I heard in an interview, in their scrims coming up to finals weekend, they said that something just clicked for them. Their macro play all of a sudden just made sense. They all knew what role they had to play. They knew how to play the map correctly, and we can see it, right? I mean, that was the second fastest LCS finals of all time. They were definitely the underdogs going into the final matchup, and they stomped that series from the very beginning to the very end. Game 1, I mean, what was it? 10 minutes in, they 5-man tower dive into the bot lane. When I was watching that, after I saw that dive, no one died. They killed all 5 members of Team Liquid. They juggled the tower aggro perfectly. And honestly, for a split second, I was like, am I watching LPL? Like, what? Is this FPX? Like, what's going on here? But no, it's 100 Thieves. And just from there, I mean, they came out with aggression. They had fantastic team coordination. Their macro was insanely clean. Their team coordination in team fights was crazy. I can go on and on. Abadog is Realm Warps. Huhi has been the first player in the LCS to ever win a championship in 2 different roles. I mean, and then Closer's game 3 Lee Sin mechanics to end it out. I mean, it was just a perfect storm from 100 Thieves.
Solo killed Tactical at least 3 times. And that was just from what I was counting. And Tactical's just alone. He's just alone. He just goes in there. He's like, nah, we're just going to kill you.
Too. Like,
have a nice day. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, see you later, heads out. goes and does whatever else he wants to do, because literally there's like 5 minutes between kills after that too. Like he just kills him and then moves on to better things, bigger and brighter things. Because literally, Closer had the best series he's ever had, and it was so fun to watch. And I've never really been a Team Liquid fan, and people might know that, but um, it sucks to see a seed 2 get 3-0'd by a seed 1. At the same time, it's exciting to see that our first seed going in is our first seed. They beat the third seed in considerable fashion, 3-1 versus C9, and then they destroyed the second seed. This is a huge thing for going into LCS Worlds, for LCS in Worlds, um, and looking at bigger and brighter things going into it, because I mean you have some hard competition between Mad and Fnatic alone, and then you got, like you said, FPX. Like they're huge, especially on their team coordination is just, it's crazy, especially diving towers. So looking at the teams that are there, this is, I mean 100 Thieves looked solid. I was a little worried when they lost to Team Liquid. I'm not gonna lie, I was on the train of where I was like, oh, C9's definitely going to win this next game and probably, be a good contender against TL for the finals. But 100 Thieves showed up. They showed up to
They
play, and it was
they
awesome
came after Perks. They went after Perks hard in that series. And,
with good reason.
but one of the things that made me really, as a big fan for NA LCS, and being happy for the region, as we're going to be represented by honestly three great teams, in my opinion.
Mhm.
But what made me really happy was that you got to see, like you said, Hui doing it in two different roles. Hui was popping off. He was playing well. FBI was just on a different level. Aphelios.
Oh yeah.
But what I really liked is that 100 Thieves, they felt comfortable in their drafting. They did not feel like, for example, they gave Tactical his #1 champ. Everyone remembers Tactical when he joined the league. Oh man, can't let him have Kalista because he popped off really hard in those matches.
Mhm.
They gave him Kalista, stared him in the eyes, and then killed him repeatedly.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's what's so much fun about 100 Thieves is that, hey, you ban my Viego? Oh, do you leave open
Yeah.
Lee Sin?
Exactly.
You
You banned 3 of my champions.
Well,
yeah, Lindor, you were talking about that.
the thing about that draft that just blew me away was, okay, Viego, Closer on Viego absolutely popped off game 1 and game 2. I mean, the casters said it throughout the whole series. He's stealing champions, he's getting resets, he's playing the champions better than you are, and he's just taking over team fights. So Team Liquid, they finally decide, all right, we're gonna ban this guy out. They ban Viego, they ban Diana, and they ban a third jungler. I don't remember who it was. They leave up the Xin Zhao, and everyone's thinking, all right, Team Liquid, they're on blue side finally for the first time in this series. Xin Zhao is up. They're going to take that power pick.
Mhm.
And they say no. They say, no. We're going to pick Trundle, expecting 100 Thieves to pick Xin Zhao
Oh yeah.
because that's the #1 Xin Zhao counter. But then Closer just goes, hang on a second. You guys left up Lee Sin. This is like my best champion other than Olaf. And he just takes that and completely destroys them with them. So, I mean, yeah, a little bit of a head scratcher there from TL in the game 3 draft, but you got to give it to Closer on that performance.
Yeah, I love it.
You go ahead.
No, yeah. I just want to say, I just want to reiterate. I mean, like, Closer, MVP. Like, just hard. I get that they gave him MVP. I understand that, and of playoffs. But it's it's so, like, it fits him so well. It's perfect for him. It's obviously he's MVP. Like, there's nobody else even close. I'm sorry, nothing closer than Closer.
And that's what makes, when you think about, like, with the history of the LCS, and you think about, there was kind of like a lull period of like, oh, Doublelift has retired, Bjergsen has retired, Sneaky's been out of the league for a bit. You didn't have like the face of the league. You didn't have players that everyone would tune into. Right now, like, if you look at like LAC, people are going to tune in because you still got players like Caps. You still got players like Reckless. You got Carzy, you got Humanoid, like you got players that people will tune in. LCS was having like a little bit of a problem getting people to tune in because am I going to tune in to watch Keith play support? No. Am I going to tune in to see Immortals throw out a 5-man squad that I don't know who these people are and they get ruffle stomped? No.
True.
And I feel like 100 Thieves, for their credit, have done a great job of marketing their players, making them stars. You look at Closer, people were calling him like the Goat King. Like they had like the emoji of a crown equaling a goat head, and being like, "This is Closer right now, playing Viego." You know, people are in love with like Hui because Hui has been probably one of the most, I would say, probably like the darling of the LCS. He played mid lane for CLG when they went to MSI and played Aurelion Sol, and people love him. And people love Sunday. There's no one on 100 Thieves where you're like, I can't root against them, and that's, I think that's really awesome for that league, or for that organization. And then when you get into the other teams that are going to Worlds for NA, you're gonna have Team Liquid with like, people are gonna be like, man, I'm excited to watch Tactical. People are gonna be really excited to watch Alfari. Alfari trash talks a lot, but he backs it up most of the time. He plays really well. And Cloud9, people are gonna tune in to watch Perks. They're gonna tune in to watch Fudge because Fudge likes to trash talk too.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like for the first time in a long time watching NA talent or watching NA teams go to Worlds, I can comfortably be like, yeah, this is a year that I think we get out of groups comfortably. I don't feel like it. Yes,
Bold statement.
I say that because I feel like when you have teams like 100 Thieves, they are aggressive. Team Liquid, they will play aggressive. C9 have shown they will play aggressive. How many times in our history that we've watched our teams go, and you're like, all right, you played a slow building team where Svenskeren stuck on Sejuani, and we get beat, and you wonder to yourself, oh, why did we lose? Well, we try to play slow against these teams that play like 15-minute matches.
Well, it's funny when you look at Worlds, you see that these our LCS teams like try to adapt to like the LCK way of playing because they just assume that they're better than them. But the problem that it almost seems like a problem that they abandon the way that they've been playing through the LCS to play another way, and they're just bad at it because they just haven't had an entire season to practice that way.
Now they have.
So yeah, where LCK has. I honestly think if they keep to their comfort zone, like especially 100 Thieves, I mean they're gonna make it out of groups. It's gonna be good. As for C9, they've shown it before. They get out of the group stages. It's gonna happen, and they'll do it.
Right.
They're gonna have to. They have to come from the play-in stage, though.
That's what I mean. Sorry. I meant play-in stage. So they are gonna definitely come out of the play-in stage. They've done it before. They've done it plenty of times now. I think what 3 total, if you count this one. It'll be a third time, and third time's a charm. They're gonna get all the way out there, and the last time they were in play-in stage, they made it to semifinals. So let's just see it again, and it doesn't matter as long as LCS makes it to semifinals. I think I'll be happy. Looking at their competition this year, it's gonna be hard, but they cannot.
But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be so much fun.
But they need to play their game. They need to stop trying to adapt to other people. They need to watch what they do and look at their weaknesses and not adapt and not try to play their game and just play their own game. So C9 needs to play C9. 100 Thieves need to play 100 Thieves, and TL needs to play TL.
If I'm 100 Thieves, and Lindor, you might appreciate this. If I'm 100 Thieves, a tape that I should put on, game film and study, I think they should be studying Albus Nox Luna. I think that I think they need to turn that on because think about it. 100 Thieves throughout the playoffs, there was times where you're like, wow, this team's down by $3,000, they're 3,000 gold, and they still win the match. Who better to study up on than Albus Nox Luna, who had a top laner and ADC be down by like 50 CS at one point, and they're still beating LCK teams. and it's because they
Uh,
played to their way. They played
Isn't
their way. Anivia, Wall, Poppy, charged into it.
didn't they have like a support god for a second? Isn't that like
Lecrit, they had Lecrit. They had
yeah?
Lecrit playing
Oh my
because
gosh, like Bard, right? Was it
no,
Bard?
no, his
Who was it?
his best champ is Brand.
Oh, Brand.
But in the match against Rocks Tigers, they allowed him to play Tarek, and
I remember
he,
his
he
face
was
being everywhere. Like
he was 06 and 7, but still had like the most impact of a support in that match.
they
Uh,
were fun to watch.
no, but yeah, like I think 100 Thieves needs to, like you said, need to focus on how they play the game and not try to match it to others. But I think that they need to turn on that just to get the motivation of we can do this.
Mhm.
If Albus Nox Luna, and granted they lost to H2K in the quarterfinals in a pretty easy 3-0 sweep. If 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 Albus Nox Luna can knock off G2 that had perks, if they can knock off G2, if they can knock off uh, teams like Rocks Tigers, what's stopping 100 Thieves from thinking the same way? And granted, LPL is now it has become a bigger, better league as well, a region. But man, I'm just so excited to see who gets where in what place. I know Hiccup, that's your favorite day of the year for Worlds is who gets placed in what
Oh
group.
yeah, love it.
Anahopium, baby. Anahopium on this
Oh
on
yeah,
Oh,
the CC zone.
yeah, let's go.
let's hit it. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of faith in Fnatic too. But let's hear from Lindor. What do you got?
As far as LCS Worlds hopes, yeah.
He's like, yeah.
I gotta say, I think that C9 and TL both have potential, but to me, I think Perks has played probably the worst that he has in a long time. I think that this year he has played very disrespectfully in the LCS. I think he came in thinking that he was going to be easily the best mid laner, and he's been proven wrong. Plain and simple. He has lost many games, has been playing overly aggressive and being punished for it, like time and time again. And so I think that maybe we see a new Perks stacking up against other talent from around the world. Maybe he can finally come into some games respecting his opponent, and that'll allow him to come back to the Perks of old that we've seen. We might get to see an assassin meta coming in for the Worlds patch, and that might serve C9 quite well. So I'm excited to see that. I think that 100 Thieves definitely is our best shot of getting out of groups this year, just from how they played in the last week here. So obviously, Worlds is a long way away. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, but I think 100 Thieves is definitely our greatest hope of
And
getting out of groups once and
yeah,
for all.
and I totally agree with that. I do think that a lot of teams, or not a lot of teams, but a lot of players, Hooney, good example, that come into the LCS think that they're just hot shit. Like I just think that they're on top of the world and they can beat everybody and they can totally dominate in whatever league that they're in. Um, but in this case, Closer can, and he did, and he does, and he's awesome. So, uh, Perks, yeah, I agree with you. I will agree that he definitely has played a lot better, and it's sad to see Caps not make it, because now all of Caps fans are looking at Perks to show
Oh,
that
I
Western
am
talent. I know
happy
you're happy about
happy
it,
that G2
and
didn't make it.
and it's nice that
Oh,
G2 finally don't make it because you could see other people, kind of like 100 Thieves making it in. You get to see other teams make it and get to that world stage, which is awesome, and see what they can do and what they can show. Um, but at the same time, it's a bummer to not see Caps only because they have that like, oh, who's the best of the West? Is it Caps? Is it Perks? Kind of theory, and then everyone's like, oh, well, now I'll jump on the Perks train because C9 made it. Well, C9 made it because their team made it, and it's not
that's
just because of Perks. And Perks, although he came into the LCS and he came with a storm and they destroyed in spring, and it just didn't pan out for first place. So you can't say that he's the best of the West. And honestly, like, yeah, if they show up at Worlds, they show up at Worlds. That would be great. And I think that every LCS team should show up at Worlds, and I think that would be amazing. They have a lot of competition. It's there, and I think that we got a long way ahead of us. We got a lot of patches ahead of us. And once we get there, we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Any closing statements, gentlemen, on the season 1, episode 1 of the CC Zone?
My last statement: I just want to see Huff Zone back it up, and I want to see some more shirts.
Yeah, I mean that's along the same lines of mine. I mean, PGO versus Oblivion this week. Do not forget to tune in. That is such a hype matchup. I'm super excited for sure.
Huge game. You might see a different shirt on me. You never know. So let's see them show up. I definitely think it's going to be a huge thing. But I'm Hiccup, here joined by Brankles and by Lindor. And we are proud, very, very proud, to present the first episode of the CC Zone. And hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, please give it to us. If you have any questions, please give it to us. If you have any VODs, clips, anything, please give it to us. We will talk about it, or we will try to talk about it. Show us why you're the best. And that's all I got for today. And I hope you guys enjoyed.